Hi, welcome to Take 5, where we daily consider devotional thoughts from Oswald Chambers' book, My Utmost for His Highest. Today's March 15th, and the title of today's devotional is The Discipline of Dismay. As they followed, they were afraid. Mark chapter 10, verse 32. Today's focus verse is from the chapter in Mark where we find the lesson on one whom we know as the rich young ruler. Mark chapter 10, verses 17 through 22. This young man, though seemingly pious in behavior, dropped his head, turned, and walked away at Christ's instructions to rid himself of all his wealth before coming to follow. The apparent rejection of the individual puzzled the disciples. Verse 26, if a rich person couldn't get into heaven, then who could? What Jesus went on to teach rattled many of those who were there, for he was teaching the laying aside of anyone and everything else. So to come, follow him, verses 29 through 31. Then with verse 32 we read, they were on the road going up to Jerusalem, and Jesus was walking on ahead of them. And they were amazed, and those who followed were fearful. It is important to note who were amazed and who were fearful, for they were different groups. As Jesus traveled about, it wasn't just with the 12 with whom he traveled. A cursory glance at Luke chapter 8, verses 1 through 3, reveals that many were following him. And it was among these that fear began to spread. This is understood due to the words in Mark 10 and verse 24, where he refers to the disciples as being amazed, just as in verse 32. There's a distance between being amazed and being fearful. Chambers today addresses the feelings of the large group following Christ, those who were more and more understanding less and less of what the Messiah's teachings and actions were all about. It can perhaps be thought at times by church members that they would be closer to God if they were like the preacher and all they had to do all day was sit and pray and read the Bible, that it is due to the elite role a minister has is why he can be so much closer to God. Congregations often could feel like the masses who were following Christ and getting fearful while the pastors were only amazed. Please release that thought from your mind. Preachers go through the same periods of darkness and wonder as they also try to discern what God is saying and where he is leading. And there can certainly be times of interfering confusion. Chambers' devotion today speaks to the times when God seems to be way ahead of us while we are behind, still simply trying to open the map. Chambers writes, there is an aspect of Jesus that chills even a disciple's heart to its depths and makes his entire spiritual life gasp for air. This unusual person with his face set like flint is walking with great determination ahead of me, and he strikes terror right through me. He no longer seems to be my counselor and friend and has a point of view about which I know nothing. All I can do is stand and stare at him in amazement. As we mature spiritually, we will encounter times that the level of Christ's thinking about us and teachings for us seems quite a distance away from where we see ourselves to be. Chambers says, at first I was confident that I understood him, but now I'm not so sure. And as those in the party following Christ experiencing the fear of the unknown, we've never thought this way before, there will continue to be doubt, fear, and many of them falling away. When you feel dismayed and overwhelmed at all you begin to sense that is required of the follower of Christ, Dr. Chambers encourages us to hold on, for out of it will come the ability to follow Jesus truly, which brings inexpressibly wonderful joy. If you haven't yet had the opportunity to read Dr. Chambers' devotional today, I encourage you to do so, for it will enhance the time that we spend together. It's available online. Please also list below any comments or questions that you have about today's study, as well as prayer requests too. And now may God's grace and peace be ours as we seek to live our utmost for his highest. Thanks for being here today. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good afternoon. We'll see you. Bye now.